And here's Moncada poking the puck ahead for Chenier, trying to get around Chisholm. Moncada breaking in. Moncada, he scores! A short-handed goal by Luke Moncada, his first of the season. Good evening, hockey fans. I'm Ranjan Rupal, joined by this guy, Greg DeBerge, former Memorial Cup winning defenseman with the Peterborough Petes. And a battle for the puck and a race now. Hadfield on the left side. Grima trying to get back in position. Hadfield through the legs. He scores! A beautiful goal by Vic Hadfield. Puck comes back to the near point. Struthers got there. Now he's driving to the net. Struthers scores! Moncada trying to get around Murray. Now he's driving the net. Stopped by Dugas. They score! Chenier pressuring Beraldo, the defenseman. Drop pass. Side of the net. Oh, what a stop by Rosenwig. Turns. A pass. Primo stopped by Rosenwig. If you never heard of Josh Rosenwig before this game, you'll probably never forget him after this game. Here come the Battalion. Another stop by Rosenwig. The shot total just incredible. 51 shots directed at the young netminder Josh Rosenwig. Simon Rose makes a nice move. Rose in. He scores! Simon Rose comes up roses on a beautiful individual effort. A highlight reel overtime winner, and North Bay wins 3-2 in overtime.
Josh Sweetland welcoming you back for another installment of OHL Voices, this time featuring the man behind the mic in North Bay. Ranjan Rupal has been calling Battalion games on your TV over the past several seasons, and he's also a pharmacist. Provides play-by-play for the Battalion alongside OHL graduate, former NHL defenseman, and color man Greg DeBerge. Ranjan, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is a great idea. It's going to be fun.
Well, let's start off the top. Give us a bit of a backgrounder. How did you come to be the play-by-play voice of the North Bay Battalion? Where did you get your broadcasting start?
Broadcasting start probably was from the age of 5, being mesmerized by play-by-play on TV, almost as much as I was mesmerized by the action on the ice. Just hearing the voices of Danny Gallivan and Dick Irvin, it just hit a chord with me. And I thought that these guys have such magic to tell a story. And I almost thought at a young age that they could sway the outcome of a game. And as a diehard Leafs fan, we needed all the help we could get. But, and so then I didn't really think I'd ever become someone in broadcasting, but opportunity came by in North Bay. The Nipissing University Lakers, a university hockey team, started up in 2009, and I just asked Al McDonald, the current mayor of North Bay, hey, do you have anyone doing the play-by-play? This was about 8 months before they hit the ice for their inaugural season, and he said, no, not really, and so it just went from there.
Interesting. It was quite a start to things in North Bay when the troops came to town. I mean, 3 straight seasons of over 30 wins and some extended hockey into the spring due to those lengthy playoff runs, of course, once reaching the OHL Championship Series. The past 4 seasons have been a little less to write home about, though. So you've kind of been able to see 2 sides of the Battalion franchise sort of split over the time they've been in North Bay. How have you enjoyed the overall experience?
It's been fantastic, and it's been one of the most personally rewarding relationships that I've had in my life is my affiliation with the Battalion and with the Ontario Hockey League. It's a really professionally run, it's professional grade, as they say. And it's been a pleasure just to watch it unfold here in North Bay, how Scott Abbott and Mike Griffin, Stan Butler, basically in the beginning, 2013, operating out of a suitcase because the arena wasn't ready. Stan Butler conducting business from the front seat of his car in the parking lot as the construction crews were working on Memorial Gardens. And to watch them just not be fazed by the little hiccups of trying to get a team to a new market. The arena is just getting ready, starting their first season, 9 games on the road, kind of like Peterborough did this year as their arena was getting going. And boy, it really put the wind in the sails in this city.
You've had a chance to witness the development of some really solid Battalion players. A couple of those, like Barclay Goodrow or Mike Amadio, I mean, they really blossomed into reliable 200-foot type players. As former longtime Battalion coach and GM Stan Butler undoubtedly would have preached. I'm sure it's neat to call those guys in their junior years and see them in the NHL just a few short years later.
Do you know what? You hit the nail right on the head, Josh. When the OHL centennials left North Bay, we clung to those alumni, so like Brad Brown and guys like that, who the Hatchers, Chris Neal. Those guys we just hung on to them with dear life, because they were in the NHL and they were our last link. They were centennials, and when the OHL came back in 2013, the first one was Barclay Goodrow. And boy, he didn't get drafted. He was a first-round pick out of the York Simcoe Express. He's supposed to do wonderful things, and then the knock was on his skating. But boy, there wasn't a guy who worked harder on the ice, in the training room, studied the game, and then was rewarded after a breakout season and an overage year. The San Jose Sharks came calling, and it's a real head rush to watch him in an NHL uniform, and to think that he lit it up here at Memorial Gardens. I think everyone in North Bay gets a real charge out of seeing Barclay now with the Lightning, currently, in a big series with Columbus. But he's not the only one, but he certainly paved the way for North Bay Battalion alumni in the NHL.
Just fast forwarding to this past season, it was a tough one in North Bay. Only 17 wins and a fairly significant hockey operation shift away from Stan Butler after 22 seasons with the franchise, and some younger minds running the day-to-day now in the form of GM Adam Dennis and head coach Ryan Houlihan. Was there much in the way of noticeable change as far as you could see following that move and just through the latter half of the season?
Well, I want to say that Stan Butler has over 1,400 games coached in the OHL, and nobody knows hockey like him. I was amazed at the depth of understanding, and I thought just by osmosis in the media scrum after a game that I could somehow soak up some of that intuition that he has about a game, about the players, about the ebb and flow of the action. And boy, it takes a lot of osmosis to try to get even a tenth of what Stan Butler knows. And so he's always going to be going down as one of the great OHL coaches, junior hockey coaches, certainly in Canada, if not the world. When the change happened, the team had sort of fallen down on its fortunes. A few years of poorly producing drafts, which, as you know, can be the death knell for a team if the top picks just don't perform the way other teams' top picks are, or if last year's second and third round picks just don't progress the way we hoped that they would. And North Bay got caught in that cycle where they didn't have high top producing first round picks. The second round was kind of a disappointment. And so here's Stan trying to get the best out of these guys this year. And last year, there just wasn't much in the tank for him to work with. Now, Ryan Houlihan, he's no stranger to Memorial Gardens. He has learned everything that he has learned from Stan Butler. He steps in, he's got that youthful enthusiasm. He's in his 30s, young family, connects with the players in a different way. Adam Dennis, as the new GM, I like to say about Adam that an old saying, if you can't see, you can't be. And certainly Adam Dennis has been to the pinnacle with the London Knights as a player, with that fantastic team in the mid-2000s. He has seen what it takes, the kind of players, the personalities. He's a student of the game. He was back in the crease, stopping a lot of pucks for the Knights, but I'm sure he was watching everything that was going on ice, off ice, how a team should be, how training camp should be, how new draft picks should behave, and just that interview process he has with them, the kind of player, the fabric they're made of. Adam Dennis knows the kind of players he wants to bring in here, and he started doing that right away.
A really good breakdown, and a convergence of three really solid personalities. You mentioned Stan, a pillar of consistency for the past 25 or so years in Canadian junior hockey, and as you said, one of the great coaches the league has seen, and a great teacher at that. Of course, Ryan Houlihan, a former OHL captain, has the hardworking pedigree, and kind of got his his feet wet in Flint there with that coaching role he had, and now I'm sure he's enjoying himself in North Bay. And as you mentioned, Adam Dennis, I've been able to work with Adam firsthand. He was a former director of player recruitment in the league office, and a really brilliant young hockey mind. So exciting things in North Bay. Of course, with a last place finish comes with it the excitement of top young talent being added to the depth chart. Particularly, we would mention first overall OHL priority selection choice Ty Nelson, first overall CHL import draft pick Matvey Petrov, who is joining another Matvey and an off-season addition, Matvey Guskov, coming over from London Knights. Lots to look forward to in North Bay, I would think. I mean, if you think about the past, kind of traditionally the Troops have been a big north-south team, but with the additions of a few of these names that I just mentioned, sky's kind of the limit on skill there.
There is a good assembly of young talent, and I want to mention Brandon Coe, who really started showing his natural gifts. He's going to be a leader this year in December when we get going. He skates like the wind as you see him. He is that prototypical player with wheels, can blow around the outside. And you know what? He's going to show the young kids like the Alex Christopoulos, let's say, that it is okay to just give it and go down the ice and use your speed. There's a lot of speed on this team. And Liam Arnsby is one of those guys, too, another young draft pick. And Ty Nelson, we haven't had a chance to see him. I mean, we'd be chomping at the bit at maybe an orientation camp or a team camp in September. We're going to have to wait till, I guess, December to see Ty Nelson, but we're very excited. And to talk about the two Russian players, Adam Dennis decides to go out and get Matvey Guskov from the London Knights. And this shows his depth of preparation, because he wanted Guskov there, to a guy who knows the English language, knows his way around Canada and the OHL. Tim Hortons, let's say, is his favorite spot. And now Matvey Petrov, with just a slight command of the English language. He's going to learn quickly, but he's not there yet. He's going to lean on Matvey Guskov. He's going to have a buddy in the dressing room and on the ice. He's not going to feel like he's alone up here in North Bay.
Yeah, definitely not a bad environment to be going into when you've got someone who can speak the language and kind of knows where you're coming from. So one side note, I've heard from a number of sources that the Gardens have some of the best hot dogs in the OHL. I've been to a few games in North Bay, but I've never tried one of those. Is that true or false?
Well, we had the Nathan's hot dogs. That was Mike Griffin's idea. If you're going to have a hot dog, you might as well have the best. And so it was Nathan's hot dogs in the beginning. I think they're still, but they might not be. They are really good. Now, I try to avoid them, right? Because at my age, and as a pharmacist, I know that you have a certain amount of hot dogs you can have in a given year. And but yes, you can see Greg the Burge and me stuffing a hot dog probably in between the second and third period on occasion.
Probably just tell you to talk and he'll run down to the concession.
That's right, something like that.
I'm not sure how far back your tenure in North Bay goes, but the Robertson Cup, it hasn't been raised there since 1994, which was quite some time ago. One would think the city is due for another deep playoff run. And, with Adam Dennis, as we've mentioned, kind of serving as the architect there, it'll be interesting to see how things come together for the boys in green. It's something to look forward to, at least.
Well, I started with the team in 2013. So the Barclay Row year, it was the Eastern Conference Championship, Bobby Orr Trophy. So talk about starting your four-course meal with dessert. That's what we did here in North Bay. We started with a trophy, the Bobby Orr Trophy. Next year we went to the finals, but that Memorial Cup bound Oshawa Generals took us out in the Eastern Conference Finals. So we were spoiled. The first two seasons we were right up there, a contender. So it took a while for us to get back. It's going to take some time. It has taken some time. We're optimistic about this year. Now, you say we took Ty Nelson first by virtue of finishing last, but we were on a bit of a run at the end, playing with a kind of confidence that we had not seen for some time from this young group. Not afraid of other teams, not tentative, playing with confidence, a pluckiness perhaps from the Christopoulos twins from the Don Mills Flyers, leading the way with their, let's say, truculence, if you want to use a Brian Burt term. fearless for 16-year-olds, and that was infectious. That spread around the dressing room, and you saw that the shoulders, rise up, and people around the building getting really excited about this team.
Interesting, a couple of young teams there in the Central Division that you'd like to think would be relatively evenly matched here in the next few seasons moving forward as both build towards contention. I'm not sure about you. I'm ready to get past this COVID-19 bug and get back to playing hockey when it's prudent to do so, of course. And obviously the hope is December 1st. That's a long way away. How do you plan to fill the time?
Well, I usually spend summers updating my stats, all the players around the league, trying to update who the new players are in, just so I'm not scrambling at the last minute in September. So there's less activity in terms of player movement and whatnot. September, October, November, I'm going to start gearing up. Of course, you can bide your time with some NHL playoffs up until I think the first week of October, when the finals will be. We're going to have an NHL draft. That'll be exciting to watch. And I think Brandon Coe, you'll see his name selected. And time is moving quickly. I don't know about you, but I feel like the summer whizzed by, and I'm sure the fall is going to whiz by. That's just a virtue of being older like me. I think that there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done. So excited about the camp. I guess it's going to start, if you're going to start playing in January 1st, you got to have camp maybe middle of December or the first week of December. So a lot going to be happening, including, I don't know, World Juniors. When's that going to be? Not sure. Maybe Josh.
I'm not exactly sure on the timeline for that at this point in time. But yeah, you mentioned training camps. Of course, no date set in stone for those yet. But one would think at some point in the month of November, if we're aiming for a December 1st start date. So you've got a few weeks of summer here left to take advantage of. Ranjan, enjoy them. We'll see you around the rink again soon.
This was fun. We should do it again.
Absolutely. I'm always down to talk hockey. Thanks for joining me.
Okay.